Welcome once again to Breakfast Central. We start off in South Africa, where the Thabo Bester case has been postponed for a month for police to conclude their investigations. If you remember, Bester escaped from prison in May 2022 and was on the run in South Africa for a year. He was eventually tracked to Tanzania and arrested along with Dr Nandipha Magudumana, the woman who was believed to be his co-conspirator. Now joining us is South African editor Diane Hawker. Good morning, Diane. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, and good morning to the viewers as well.
Good to see you. The story, of course, continues, and Africa is still very, very much, a lot of times, entertained by the Thabo Bester case. But he was not physically in court on Tuesday. Tell us about how his the court case went on Tuesday, and of course how his appearance did unfold.
Well, yes, he appeared virtually in court while the other 8 accused appeared in person. He's currently being held at the Kgosi Mampuru prison, which is in Pretoria, which is about a 4-hour drive from Bloemfontein, where the case is being held. The reason that he's actually being held in Pretoria is due to security concerns, and as a result, the correctional services people have decided not to bring him to court unless the trial is actually going to go ahead. So he appeared virtually. I think one of the things that had people speaking about him quite a lot on social media yesterday is the fact that he was wearing a Louis Vuitton jersey, and people commenting about the kind of attire that he's been wearing, even though he's a convicted prisoner, that he's been wearing to court in these virtual appearances. Some people estimating the cost of that T-shirt or that jersey at about 25,000 Rand. So definitely not a cheap item of clothing. The other important thing that took place yesterday is that his lawyers actually withdrew from the case. Now, this is partly because of their own criminal cases that they are facing. Both his attorney and his advocate are actually currently before court in separate matters. One has been charged in connection with a sexual assault allegation, and the other charged in connection with a corruption allegation. So, these two allegations did have the potential of overshadowing the Thabo Bester case. They informed the court that they reached a mutual agreement as to them leaving the case and him bringing on a new set of lawyers, but we understand that the reason, or part of the reason behind this, is as a result of their own criminal cases that they are actually facing.
Oh, so much has been uncovered and unpacked. You spoke about Thabo Bester's outfit and his designer outfit. I'll come back to that. But the National Prosecution Authority say the police are still investigating the case. We also hear that there are more arrests that are going to happen. Give us an update on that. And then, why is Thabo Bester still allowed to dress in these fancy designer outfits, even though many people are asking why he shouldn't be in prison uniforms already, especially because he has been convicted before. It's not like it's a fresh case.
Yes, absolutely. So in terms of South African law, even if a prisoner has been convicted of a previous crime, once they appear in court, they are allowed to appear in their own clothing, their own personal clothing. Part of the reason for that is so that there isn't any undue discrimination against them appearing in prison uniforms. You don't want the judge to have any preconceived view based on the fact that the prisoner, who in this case is actually considered an accused, is wearing prison clothing as opposed to private clothing like the other accused. When it comes to the question about the National Prosecuting Authority, now they said that they will need at least another month to investigate. Yesterday at court, I spoke to the NPA Free State spokesman, Paladi Shuping, and he actually explained what was going to be happening in this process of investigation. Let's take a listen to that clip.
No, not yet. Remember, we have not yet started with the trial, so any change of legal representative does not have any effect on our case. And unfortunately, we don't have any control as to who's going to represent who. The prerogative of the accused persons. So if they decide to terminate the mandate of the legal representative, it's their decision. But we are hoping that once we start with the trial, there won't be unnecessary delays like change of legal representations that will have a serious delay in terms of the case. Issues that the investigators must still follow. As you are aware, the prosecutor made it clear in court today that they're still waiting for witness statements. We're still waiting for cell phone records, and we're also still waiting for the bank statements. So those are part of the outstanding investigative issues. And our hope is that on the 8th of August, those issues will be sorted out so that we can have an idea as to how far.
Oh, wow.
So as you can hear there's still quite a lot of investigation. While the prosecution and the police have arrested 9 people in connection with this matter, 9 including Thabo Bester, and already started to connect dots with some of the people who are former G4S employees. They are still searching to find out whether there's a further money trail that might lead to other people being arrested.
Oh yeah, of course. Now you just mentioned, 9 arrested. There's a possibility that, I think I read that about 3 more will be arrested. Is there any updates on Dr. Nandipa and the development on her case? What happens next with her?
Well, Dr. Nandipa is now currently still behind bars. She has opted not to apply for bail. Yesterday, she appeared in court along with the other accused, who include her father. And we saw her waving to him in the dock and, saying a quiet hello to him there. Some of her family members were also in court. Her sister was amongst those in court to show support to the both of them. It seems that for the foreseeable future, at least, she'll be remaining behind bars while her father is out on 10,000 Rand bail. There is one other accused who's also out on 10,000 Rand bail, but the majority of the accused in this case are still behind bars, awaiting for the trial to actually begin.
Okay, I'd like us to also quickly touch on Thabo Bester's lawyers who have recused themselves from the case. One of them, of course, is said to be accused of offering to accept a benefit and attempted extortion in relation to a security tender at Tivet College in the Free State in 2017, whilst the other one is said to be facing charges of attempted rape and assault, and he was charged earlier this year and is out on 1,000 Rand bail. Now, is it usually the practice that even whilst lawyers have cases that are still ongoing, especially because of even how closely related one of the cases is to Thabo Bester's case, that they continue? Because there have been several reactions, some asking why they were, why they were allowed to continue with the case, that it may have posed some form of a distraction.
Absolutely. Well, the challenge is that their cases are still ongoing. There hasn't been a conviction in their trials as yet. So technically speaking, the rule of innocent until proven guilty does still apply. Unlike most other employees, lawyers most times work for themselves. They have their own practices. So there isn't any other third party who would take them off their cases because they are self-employed. The Legal Practice Association, however, here in South Africa, has said that it is going to investigate the allegations against them, and they have the power to sanction these lawyers outside of the criminal process. So if they find that the allegations against them are strong enough, they can revoke their licenses or require that they pay some kind of fine in order to continue with their practices. So we'll still have to see whether that process, where it's going to go. One of the lawyers is appearing in court today, Tsirile Zondo. He's meant to appear in the Bloemfontein Magistrates Court in connection with his case. And as you point out, it did have the potential to cause a distraction to the case that Thabo Bester is facing, with the media and the public focusing not only on his matter, but also focusing on the charges that his lawyer is facing. So I think with their withdrawal from the case, the attention will return to the Thabo Bester case. Of course, it will be important to keep an eye on what happens. Lawyers are respected members of society, and it will be important to keep an eye on what happens with these two matters involving these two lawyers.
All right. Quickly also share, if there's any controversy over the time with which it has been adjourned. It's been adjourned for a whole month. Does there need to be some urgency with the prosecution of the case, or does the prosecution team need that much time?
Well, I think that in terms of South African law, there isn't anything unusual about it. Usually, when it's a case like this, one will remember that Thabo Bester was arrested outside of the country, brought into the country, and initially the police were not clear on how he had escaped. And the information about that started unfolding as they were doing their investigation. So the court process does allow some leeway for there to be, a time of investigation, as long as that time of investigation is not prejudicial to the different accused in the matter. If, for example, the investigation were to go on for over a year, the accused in the case could come to court and say that the NPA's delays are unreasonable, and they could have the option of applying for bail once again, so that while the case is being investigated, they have the option of being free for that time being, or they could try and force the NPA through an application in court to actually bring the case to court sooner. None of the accused have done that as yet, but it is an option that they have available to them if they feel that the NPA's investigation process is taking too long. But I think the fact that the NPA made an arrest as recently as last week does indicate that the police are still investigating. On the 11th of June, the accused number 9, which is Zanda Moyo, was arrested. He had his second appearance yesterday. And there's still going to be more information coming forward as to how he is allegedly linked to the whole matter. We also know that the NPA and the police have uncovered that at least 150,000 was allegedly paid to accused number 1, and he is alleged to have distributed that money to some of the other accused. So with them looking at other bank statements, they are trying to establish if there were any other payments in relation to Thabo Bester using aliases or third parties to pay prison officials or anyone else to help him escape, and also possibly to help him leave the country.
Right. So many layers to this conversation, Diane, and interesting twists and turns. Some have accused him of wearing these designer T-shirts as a way of scorning those who have accused him of fraud. But we, of course, will be waiting for more updates. It doesn't seem that we'll have any soon until we get more updates as regards the investigation, seeing as we have a break till the 8th of August, and we look forward to having you when we have updates on this story. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Diane Hawker.
Thank you very much.